Hey guys, welcome to Brickstars. Today we're going to be looking at potentially a return of City Jungle in the LEGO universe. So 2024, there's rumors that the City Wave is going to bring back the jungle theme. So we don't know what this means. There's hasn't been a lot of details that have come out. It's just a couple rumors, some pretty reliable sources online. So we're confident this is going to happen. And LEGO has returned themes like the Arctic theme and their regular reoccurring city waves frequently. So we wouldn't be surprised if this is true. And what we're going to do in this video is do a quick rundown of the history of the theme and go into kind of what we hope to see in 2024.
So what we know is that there was the previous Jungle Wave in 2017. These are beautiful sets. Brickstars personally own all of them, and we used a lot of them for our photo shoots. Now what we specifically like about these sets is the fact that they have these really bright yellow vehicles. They pop out, they contrast with the rest of the jungle, and they look really good. What there was not with these sets was any form of like a big base camp. They did have this one sort of boat with a tower next to it, but not necessarily any kind of buildings that came with these sets. Now speaking of vehicles, this set came with a lot of different vehicles. We got boats, we got helicopters, we got all kinds of trucks, even track vehicles. And with that comes playability. You get an insane amount of variety with these different types of vehicles, but yet they all have that exact same beautiful matching style, very professional look, and just truly a beautiful color. Now on the bottom right here, you see this fancy Venus flytrap that came with this set. Fun fact, it only exists in real life in the US, in North Carolina, which is interesting because with this set, we always thought that it would be something like in the jungle rainforest, like South America, but this thing only exists in one place, and it's not necessarily the South American jungle rainforest.
Yeah, that was a really cool thing we learned. Another thing that's awesome about this wave in general is the animals. So not only did it come with a lot of unique colors of smaller animals, so the red spider, yellow frog, I think there was a green snake, but it also included a lot of crocodiles and, of course, unique prints on the large cats. So LEGO's done large cats before and after this theme, I believe. So we've seen, obviously, the new lions. There's been a saber-tooth, but the tiger is my personal favorite, and it's one that on the market right now, it's appreciated a fair bit in value. So they're rather rare and rather expensive to get, but it's definitely a beautiful looking part. And if Jungle does come back, we do hope to see at least one of these cats make a return.
Now some other sets that contained kind of this jungle theme in the past were obviously the recently rescue camps in this whole rescue series of wildlife with the elephants and all these parts. So these are beautiful sets. And then you have other things like these friend sets that have the blue colored elephant there. And then Duplo has some very interesting tree pieces and jungle themed. And then if you go way back, maybe the 90s or 80s, is where you have this sort of zoo set that has some interesting figures and animals that you see laid out about. So they did explore this all throughout the past, but recently the ones that we showed earlier with the jungle city sets.
Yeah, so another theme that also included a jungle vibe is the famous Adventurers Amazon lineup. So one of our favorite waves, very short-lived wave, and it didn't have a lot of sets, but it definitely had that Amazon jungle vibe to it. So what we're hoping to see in the 2024 return is if LEGO goes back and kind of combines a lot of the previous themes. So include kind of the animals that we've seen in Duplo and throughout the Friends lineup, but give us back some of this 90s originality and a different time era of city. They've really been focused on modern day city sets, whereas we think something like this could work really nice. And so we love this theme. Again, it didn't come with a lot of animals. It had the monkey, and it only had kind of the one, I guess, main interesting character, but definitely tons of potential to either revive this as its own theme or make a city lineup inspired by it.
One of the things that we wanted to do some research on was where exactly jungles exist in the world. Now, we don't live close to a jungle personally, but that leaves a lot of extra places in the world to search for them. So not only do you have them in South America, as we discussed earlier, but there's some lush ones in Central Africa, and of course in very Far East Asia here, and of course these islands, the Polynesian islands, and that area you get a lot of volcanic action and rainforest and jungles. And of course here in North America, the Florida area and Louisiana, you got bayous and sort of luscious jungle type areas, and on the east coast of North America. So with these areas, we thought, where on earth could the next jungle lineup be? And our conclusion was
Central Africa. So the recent safari theme was probably based somewhere around this area. So we thought it makes sense for them to just stay in that area and continue on with the African environment. So, and the advantage of this is there's a lot of exotic and interesting wildlife there, interesting trees. So it opens the door to a lot of possibilities for future sets. So with that in mind, here's our predictions for what we think the 2024 city jungle theme is going to look like. We're hoping that it's based in the 1940s, really anything that's kind of not modern. We've seen a lot of modern city stuff lately, so we'd like to see something a bit more vintage. Of course, an African jungle. And we want the minifigures to really be more explorers, researchers, scientists, something that kids can, get their creativity going, get their curiosity, and excite them to learn more about the world and this environment. And then we also think
that we would use such creatures and animals that exist already in the sets. So Lego tends to reuse ones that they already have, and we'd see birds, monkeys, crocodiles, the molds we already have. They're beautiful molds, but in addition to these, we would love to see some new ones. So a new gorilla, hippo, zebra, bongo. You'll see these are really interesting creatures, but anything in this nature would look really cool and would add that extra bit of collectability, creativity, and end of the day, it would add inspiration for anyone using the sets. So what we predict, in addition to what we mentioned above, was that there'd be a different lineup of sets that come out with this, just like Lego always does. They'd be varying in size. So there'd be a camp, an expedition, a research, the vegetation itself would be added, and then of course a jeep, boat, maybe even a plane.
So if we look a little bit in detail of kind of what we think the theme would feature and maybe some hints that Lego's given us, right here we see some minifigures that have been released recently. So a lot of these minifigures are actually based on the old Adventurers lineup, and we touched on this earlier. We're hoping that there's a lot of influence from the original Adventurers Amazon wave. So these minifigures from this year's Orient Express are actually based on some of those original Adventurers figures. The museum minifigure from this year's modular building is actually based on the professor from the Adventurers lineup. And a couple years ago, Johnny Thunder was a collectible minifigure return. So could this be potentially a reunion of the old Adventurers? We hope so. So the next thing we expect to see is, like we said, there's probably going to be some molds that Lego simply recolors. So last year or the year prior, they introduced this pony, foal, white horse. very underutilized. We definitely think it's an opportunity to bring it back and just add a zebra print to it. No need to reinvent the wheel. We think something like that would look great. And of course, in recent years, they've released, whether through collectible minifigures or some of the previous city sets, we have some chimpanzees, some crocodiles, some exotic looking birds. Definitely would like to see these ones make a return. And then, of course, we always love to see new molds. So Lego's released a lot of monkeys and apes and monkey costumes over the years, but we've never seen an actual full-on silverback. The hippopotamus has appeared in a couple Duplo sets, but never in the Lego system. So definitely a much wanted mold. And we think it would be really cool if they released a very unique and exotic animal like the bongo, which is a famous African jungle animal, very distinct, the horns, the stripes. We think that would look great. And of course, anytime we can get a associated baby animal to go with the larger mold, it's always a welcome sight.
We used AI technology to try to make what we envisioned these sets could look like. And the cool thing about AI is that the sky's the limit. You can put in any amount of information and it shoots out really nice images. So what you see here is kind of our main set, or biggest, most expensive set that would come with this wave. And it would pretty much be like some sort of camp or research building, their main one. As you can see, they all kind of use tent structures. They'd be temporary. They wouldn't be permanent structures, so either on stilts or some kind of elevated or on raised foundations. But it would use fabric, hopefully, but if not, even just plate pieces. And you'd end up with a really nice base camp building that would probably come with maybe 5 or more minifigures and hopefully a vehicle, whether it be a Jeep or a boat, but some type of thing. And this would be the main one to get with this wave.
And out of the sets that AI rendered for us, there was 2 that we particularly liked. So this one on the left is kind of the main base camp. Again, it's on stilts. They have a lookout tower. This is probably where they'd have a lot of their research equipment, their food, various supplies. And again, AI kind of renders things a bit funny sometimes, but it gives us the idea that there'd be a couple animals probably hiding in the forest nearby, a little boat that they could venture out onto the lake to explore, and definitely a couple birds that are included, perhaps an elephant. And like we mentioned, it'd be nice if there was fabric tents for the roof, but a set of this size could also maybe have a actual parts. And then this one on the right, a bit smaller in scale, but similar idea. You have your researchers with their luggage and their equipment, and a tent setup where, again, they're collecting all their information. So really cool to see what this gave us. And of course, in the future, we'd like to actually build and create our own mocks in real life. But just as a quick look at what a theme could look like, we're happy with these results for the main camps, and we actually did look into a couple other sets as well.
So we're looking at smaller sets. These would be a little cheaper and maybe not have as many parts, but they would still be just as interesting and playable. So here you have sort of 3 sets that are more so smaller research camps, like little outposts that they would go on for maybe day trips. As you can see, the very far left one, it's just really some luggage crates and they're kind of out there. Of course, there's a funny little lion man, but that's kind of what AI gives sometimes. So don't really take it too literally, but just kind of use the overall visual theme as inspiration. Now this middle one is quite interesting because it has a small little camp, an old-fashioned camera, a little rowboat, a baby giraffe. So just some interesting pieces here that you could kind of visualize what it could look like. And on the very right hand side here, just this kind of big umbrella that serves as where they research, and they have a little microscope and some samples and things. So they really are using that for a day trip and kind of gathering research in that location.
And then we had a look at some of the vehicles. So obviously in the jungle, it's the 1950s. These open roof Jeeps would be a popular vehicle of choice. Very cool how they can store a lot of their luggage. They can see out the windows. They can carry back animals, so they can heal them and help them, and really adds a lot of playability to the theme. So what was cool here is the unique animals we discussed earlier, different species of antelopes, the tents again, a lot of crates, and really we're big fans of Lego vehicles, and a lot of these have that kind of Land Rover vibe to them. So it would be a great addition to our collection, and definitely something we really hope to see.
Of course, what is a jungle exploration set without a river? So you have these various different types of riverboats, and in the main set here in the center is kind of the flagship, would be the largest boat. This would be a good amount of parts, and it would probably serve the main base building, supply it and stock it up and everything. So this would be a really neat one to have, kind of this old-fashioned 50s style riverboat. And of course then you'd have a smaller rowboat or just a small motorboat for exploring things. Now for planes, we have a seaplane that kind of just can land into the jungle and bring supplies that way, explore all that good stuff. And on the bottom we have a flying boat. That's what these things are called. They actually land in water, but they are like multi-person, large sort of airplanes. So any of these types of sets would be really interesting to add to this theme and add to the playability, get the figures transported around and all that good stuff.
So there you have it, guys. We're really excited for the potential 2024 city return to Jungle. We went through some previous sets and kind of our hopes, and with the help of AI, we're able to generate some images of a potential wave. So Lego, if you're watching, I think we can speak for a lot of fans. We'd like to see new animal molds. We'd like to see some interesting structure. We'd like to retain the playability of the previous Jungle Wave, and we're excited to see what's in store for summer 2024. Thanks again, guys, for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe, hit the like button, and comment below what you'd like to see in next year's Jungle sets. Thanks.